In Civ 6 or Civilization 6, secret societies are powerful governor bonuses that can help you dominate games when played right. From science and culture to envoys to a unique unit, there are so many bonuses that can help you obliterate any game when done correctly. So here are 5 mistakes for secret societies in Civilization 6 that everybody makes. The first one I'm sure everyone is already familiar with, and that is that the Hermetic Order is a wet fart of a secret society. I'd rather be caught watching My Little Pony adult content than caught using the Hermetic Order with all their subpar bonuses having to do with the new resource, the ley line, but the ley line generation is so barren you'll have at most 1 or 2 in most games. But we already know that, so what is one mistake that you don't really know for the Hermetic Order? Well, that is the Occult Research. It provides gold while it's being constructed, like in commercial hub districts, but after it's finished, it provides great people points and science. Okay, that sounds pretty good. Science for every ley line in the city. Now, unless it's Christmas and Sid Meier himself gifted you 4 to 5 ley lines in a city, the Occult Research is pretty terrible. Not only that, but it's also super expensive, and unless you need the gold, you're better off just going for campus research grants for science or something. Hell, if you need the gold, just go commercial hub investments. At the very least, you'll get great merchant points, and it won't take an eternity to complete. The Hermetic Order tree is bad in and of itself, and unless there is some sort of super secret buff coming out this year, I highly doubt it gets any better. But the master plan tricks might trick some people into actually trying to use the Hermetic Order, but even if you get enough ley lines to make it worth it, why not just go for campus or any other research grants project and just get more of the yield you need and the great people you want? This is sort of the problem with Brazil's unique districts. Getting all the great people is nice, but it's even nicer to focus on the 1 or 2 great people that'll actually improve your current situation, rather than going for all great people at a reduced rate when you don't really need them. The difference, though, is that Occult Research is stupidly expensive and is just a waste of time, being like Catherine Magnificent's unique culture project, but unlike Catherine's, the reward is nowhere near enough to offset the cost. The second one is pretty easy. If you're going for any sort of faith generation at all, go for Voidsingers. It is the best secret society when you have some semblance of faith production for any kind of victory type, not just religious. Why? The chorus bonus gives 20% of your faith into culture, science, and gold. This is a huge buff, increasing your already high yields, since, if you're going for a science victory, you'll have more science, and adding in a 20% modifier to top it all off is really nice. Not only that, but if you're going for science, you can use the culture to get late game civics you need, and if you're going for culture, you can get flight and computers a lot easier on the tech tree, while using the extra gold to get more great works, and you can use the extra gold for any victory type to buy the units or buildings you need. This works best with Russia and Ethiopia, obviously, but in any sort of faith generation game, you need to go Voidsingers, since the only other options you can really make use of isn't going to be any better no matter what victory type you're going for. Owls don't give anything directly to science, culture, and spies, although it is nice and probably the all-around best secret society in the game. If you are going for any faith production, I'd still recommend Voidsingers. Vampires, the castles are fantastic, make no mistake on that, but not enough to offset 20% in all yields. And we all know the strength of Hermetic Order is emergency toilet paper the next time a pandemic occurs. Even in games where you can make use of other secret societies, Voidsingers is still probably the best option. Finally, the Old God Obelisk is a lot of the faith you will need a lot of the time, as each one gives you 4 faith and a great work slot, and if you have 10 cities, which is usually the minimum in most games, then you have 40 faith right then and there. You add in different things like potential relics or more reliably holy sites and their buildings, and you're looking at a potential total of upwards of 4 to 500 faith per turn in most games with proper holy site adjacency. That is over 100 culture, gold, and science by no later than probably the medieval era. That is a massive boost, and any civ that goes for a holy site or early religion or whatever strat can easily make use of this. The other secret societies are fine and even great in some cases, but in all honesty, you go for holy sites and faith, you go for Voidsingers no matter what your victory type is, and you won't regret it. Owls of Minerva is the best, the Giga Chat of all secret societies, just like you'll be the Giga Chat of all human species after you leave a like and subscribe to grow 6 inches where it matters, and to grow a jawline of titans. But anyways, the biggest mistake with owls is they assure, nay, guarantee city-state dominance. For every trade route you send to a city-state, you get one envoy. Now, with about 10 traders, that's almost 10 envoys for free every 20 to 30-ish turns. This is insane, as you can pretty much secure every city-state within trade route distance, leaving you the master of every city-state near you. Now, spamming traders, as you can see, is the most powerful strategy you can employ in an already dominant secret society. With this strategy, you'll want to build as many traders as possible, meaning you need commercial hubs and harbors everywhere. Not that bad considering you'll want that anyway in most games since it's one of the most well-rounded districts. This is just making them a little bit higher of a priority. Now, the only thing you would be suffering from is the fact that a lot of the times, city-state trade routes are not the best. Unless you have Kumasai, it's usually much better to trade with other civs or your own cities when it comes to yields. So it's not going to be every game that you'll end up using all your traders to get city-states. Maybe if you have some powerful ones like Bologna or Kumasai, sure, send everything their way. But most of the time you will want to send maybe half your traders to city-states to get suzerainty, and then the rest to get the best possible yields. It's definitely a case-by-case basis, as if you have all religious city-states and no faith generation game at all, like you don't want a religion, you're not using any sort of faith, then the city-states won't matter much. But at the end of the day, this is one of the least talked about strategies and buffs in the Owls of Minerva in Civilization 6, as everyone loves spies and extra policy slots. This underrated bonus is probably better than most other Secret Society bonuses, which is saying something. Here's another obscure mistake, and that is not going after city-states with vampires. Vampires have two big bonuses, and that is 1, extra combat strength when they're near barbarians that die with a cap of 10, and 2, they get extra combat strength when a unit of any other type, except for barbs and free cities, dies near a vampire with no cap. I think you can see where I'm going with this. Vampires can get almost infinite permanent combat strength when any non-barbarian unit dies near them, and, despite that, it might be a little too difficult to go after civs when all you want to do is train up vampires for a later game rush. Barbs are nice, but with only plus 10, they aren't as reliable and aren't as strong, especially when you get your vampires later on in the game when barbs become much less of a factor. The best way to counteract this is to declare war on city-states you don't need, and stay at war with them as you focus on wiping out their units. This will let you get so much combat strength over the eras, and honestly, you probably don't even need it all. Over maybe 50 to 100 turns, you could kill up to 10, 20 units for a single vampire, and if that is your starting vampire with the barb bonus, let's say you cleared out barbs with that vampire, you're looking at 30 potential combat strength by turn 150 theoretically by just taking out units. By the time the late game comes around and you're ready to go to war with an actual civ, your vampires can literally solo everything since they are equivalent to being 3 eras ahead, which is like using a musketman to attack warriors and slingers. It's a literal one-shot. Now, it doesn't have to be that big a boost for it to be worth it either. You could just go to war with a nearby city-state, kill 5 to 7 units, and then have a significant buff against civs in your early swordsman or medieval rush. So even then, it's beneficial to attack city-states, as that buff can make a huge difference, while also leaving your other units somewhere safe, as your vampires can take the brunt of the combat, while you can get support units getting promotions and picking off other types of units with little to no risk for themselves. This is because vampires mostly cannot die, and will just get transported back to the capital with 1 HP, meaning you can go ham in your conquests even more than usual. And finally, we got another Voidsingers mistake. It is 5 mistakes and only 4 secret societies, so I decided to give the last one to the Voidsingers. The mistake is relying on Relics of the Void for a relic game. It's a big no-no. Now, anyone who mains the Congo or Poland might be distraught right now when I say that, but Voidsingers is still good for relics because their Old God Obelisk has a slot which can fit anything and stuff like that. But when you are focusing your entire game on cultists and their ability to generate relics, it's just not going to cut it. Going for Mont Saint-Michel or Yerevan is 1,000 times better because of the fact that by the time you get cultists, most civs have the Enlightenment Civic, and all your relic tourism is reduced by 50%, which is a huge number, and stays like that unless you get Christ your Redentor. Now, if you are the Congo, this can be fine, because you more so want the other yields attached to the relic rather than the tourism itself, but that is still a big part of most tourism relic games anyway. By the time Enlightenment comes online, you have to go for other sources, or make a beeline for Christjo, which in that time, you could spend getting other great works while working towards a more normal culture victory. The relics don't come online until the industrial era for Voidsingers, and you could have done other things to help you towards a culture victory. Now, one strategy you could make use of is to just beeline Christjo and go for a faith game where you spam relics later on after you secured the wonder, and that isn't bad. Christjo is one of the easier wonders to get, and this is a fine strategy to use relics too, even though, if you lose Christjo, your strategy pretty much falls apart. But why go through all that trouble? You're still going to want to do the same thing in any relic game anyway, but this time you can go for Mont Saint-Michel or Yerevan and get Apostles with the Martyr promotion, and still get earlier relics in your Old God obelisks, while then going for Christjo, which will be easier than the first way, because of all the culture your relics are going to give you, not to mention the fact that you can still potentially win a game before Enlightenment even becomes a thing. The Voidsingers Relic strat isn't necessarily bad or anything, it can work, but the mistake is it's the least efficient way to win a relic-centric culture victory when other options are much easier and work much better. Let me know down below what other strategies and mistakes you have for secret societies, and leave a like and subscribe if you did enjoy to not miss out on future content. I'll see you all next time. Peace.